Hi. Hi. Welcome to the second episode of Ms.shelved, the Robbins Library vlog. I'm Maura.
And I'm Linda, and today we're going to talk about when you stop reading a book. So tell me, Maura, do you put down a book or do you have to finish it, like see it through to the bitter end?
I used to be a see it through to the bitter end. I felt like if there must have been a reason I wanted to read the book, and I was committed to seeing where it went, even if I wasn't enjoying it. I think that I thought that there was value in that, of knowing what I didn't like about a whole book. But now, if I'm not into it, I put it down, and I kind of feel guilty. I still think about those books I've left behind, but I'm done. I'm moving on to the next book. How about you? What's your pattern?
I also used to be determined to finish every book I started, and part of it is just a personality quirk that I really don't like to leave things unfinished. If I start something, I want to finish it. But I also, I used to fall into this trap of, picking up a book because it was really popular and because so many other people loved it, then, why wouldn't I love it?
Right.
And I'd start reading it and just not really be into it, but I would think, oh, there's got to be something, there's got to be something here that I'm just not getting to yet. Like, if I keep going, I'll get why everyone loves it. Or I would get partway through a book and just think like, oh, I don't want to put it down because what if it's just about to get good? What if it gets good later?
Right.
And I kept doing that despite the fact that never happened. Like, I never got halfway through a book and then all of a sudden it got better, like at the end. So after a certain point, I just realized, you know what? There's too many books I want to read, and I can't waste time.
There's too much books or short stories or something else that I would rather be reading than this book.
Yeah. So do you have a threshold, like a certain point that you have to get to before you put it down?
Certain threshold. Well, I think it's around 50 pages has sort of been it. I feel like 20, you just sort of get into it. You're kind of getting a taste, but I kind of, like to double that to see if it, I don't know, I just see if it gets better or I feel more invested or engaged. And if not, I put it down. I actually brought one of the books that I recently put down called The People in the Trees by,
Hanya Yanagihara.
Thank you, Linda. This is her first book. She's also the author of A Little Life that came out, which was a huge tome. So a friend recommended this book to me, someone who I really like his reading recommendations, and it's about anthropology, and that's my undergrad, and I loved State of Wonder and Euphoria, both books about anthropologists, and so I thought, this sounds great, but I brought it in because I got to page 89. I just couldn't get into it. It's about a young doctor who goes to a remote Micronesian island, but the book opens with 2 news passages that he faces charges of sexual abuse, and then he's sent to prison for the sexual abuse of children, and one of the accusers was his adopted son. And I just had a hard time knowing I was going to be reading a book about someone I felt like he was justifying his actions. And I'm, I think open to books that explore a multitude of people and actions, not anything I would shy away from, but I just couldn't listen to this person's voice. Yeah.
Just not for you.
Nope.
Sometimes it happens. I think the last...
Sorry, friend.
I think the last book that I put down, surprisingly to me, was The Girl on the Train. And
a book that people love.
People love it, but it also sounded very much like something I would like because, all that I'd heard about it was, if you like Gone Girl and that sort of thing, you'll totally love this. Well, I loved Gone Girl. I love those kinds of books. And I read, I think I gave it 50 pages also, and the character was really, not likable, which I don't really mind, but something about it, I didn't really care. I wanted to smack her. I wanted to smack her, and I wanted to shake her and just be like, get a hold of yourself, lady. But I didn't care enough.
Come on, lady.
Yeah, I didn't care enough about it to see it through. And the funny thing is that very soon
That's interesting. You didn't care enough about her.
Or the story, I don't know what it, and it wasn't bad, like it was well written, it wasn't that. And soon after that I picked up a book called Eileen by Otessa Mosh, something like that, which is similar in many ways.
Takes place in Massachusetts.
Yeah, so like the main character is also unlikable kind of, and it's also sort of a gritty crime. Like I can see so many things in common, but I loved it, and so I don't know if
What was different, do you think?
I don't know.
You don't
It's
know.
really hard to say, and after I read it, I'm just questioning: should I go back and try Girl on the Train again, or should I just read one of the thousands of other books that I want to
Exactly.
read and have not even tried yet?
Like one of the books in our reading challenges, which we talked about last episode.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you ever pick up ones that you've put down before?
Well, I haven't picked up this one. It was in January. Part of me wants to, but let me see. I don't know. I can't recall if I picked up something that I put down. I would like to return to the Yelena Ferrante books, which are both like critically acclaimed and also people love those books, and I'm interested in those books, and I have friends who have really enjoyed them, but I just couldn't get into it. Something that it was just slow moving, which is what I hear, but it was just too slow moving, but I kind of want to try again. I might actually listen to the audiobooks. They're available on Hoopla.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you know,
Hoopla.
sometimes you're just not in the mood for the thing that you're reading at that time.
Yes,
so
exactly.
You might at another time, you know.
How about you?
be in the
Have
mood.
you?
Yeah, well,
Timing is so important.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I've picked up The English Patient a couple of times, and I just at this point, I can't try again. I just don't like that book. I have to accept it. But you know, there's other things that I picked up The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which I've heard many good things.
I really enjoyed that book.
Everybody.
And I think you would like it.
See, and I've heard the same thing from other people. But the time that I picked it up, I literally read one page and was like, oh, I don't want this right now.
Wow.
But
one page.
you know, because it was the style and the setup, and I think I wasn't in the mood for it. So that's one that I actually would like to go back to, because I think I just wasn't in the mood for it at the time. So I don't really consider that in the same category as, you know, things that I really know I don't want to read again, like The Marriage Plot, which is what I always bring up, that I struggled through like 80 pages of before admitting that I hated it. Well, because I love his other books, and so this is Jeffrey Eugenides who wrote
a talented writer, and you're just going to be immersed in a world and strong character development.
You know, and that's what I loved about like Middlesex. I loved Virgin Suicides, and this one incredible. You know, I guess I felt immersed in a way, but I was immersed in the lives of these people who were boring and pretentious academics, and I hated them all, and I didn't care what happened to them.
Linda has very strong opinions.
I do
about that
book. It's true. It's true.
Well, I think we kind of covered everything. And what we were going to end on about a book we're recommending right now?
Yeah.
Is that it? Do you want to go first?
Yes. I just
about
finished reading The Expatriates by Janice Y.K. Lee, who is an amazing author. This is only her second book. Her first one...
It takes place in Hong Kong?
Yes.
Yeah.
And her first book also took place in Hong Kong. It was called The Piano Teacher. I only found it because I was looking for books that took place there because I was about to go there on vacation. Hadn't really heard that much about it. Loved it. And then her second book now, it just came out. I just read it. And it was just so well done. But like I just find her books very sort of transportive. Like you really feel like you're there. Her writing isn't overly descriptive, but somehow she writes fairly simply, but really nicely, and just manages to just create this really perfect world. It was a great story. I definitely will be recommending that one a lot.
Well, I just thought of one I'm going to recommend. It's a memoir called The Red Parts by Maggie Nelson, and it is actually being reprinted this month by Grayville. She just won the National Book Circle Critics Award for her nonfiction book, The Argonauts. But The Red Parts is a memoir. She wrote a book of poetry about her aunt who was murdered in the 60s, who was a college student, was murdered. So she wrote a book of poetry, and then new evidence came to light about who the killer was. So this memoir is about that experience. So there's a little bit of like the true crime element, sort of the obsession with the media of like the murders of young white women. And she moves through time. I guess I would call it a fragmented memoir, but it's really has that really beautiful, spare, emotional writing that I like. And she just won an award from the Argonauts, which I really loved. It's a meditation on gender and sexuality and family. Just a really talented writer. So I would recommend that.
Great.
Yeah. So I think that's it for today, and we'll be back with another episode soon. And I think in that one we're going to talk about
the likability of characters in books.
Yeah.
So I think, bye for now.
Bye for now.